This is the Chat City interviews from 103.2 Preston FM with your host, Hughie Parr.
And right now, it's nice to welcome my first guest into the studio, and it's Sue Moffat. And Sue is a script writer, a librarian, and has recently been involved with Northern Rail. So, Sue, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
And it's lovely to welcome you into the studio.
Thank you for having me.
And first of all, you're studying, are you, at UCLan at the moment?
I am. I'm 4 years into a 5-year part-time degree in creative writing and film and TV screenwriting.
Right. And enjoying it?
Loving it.
Are you?
Absolutely
yes.
Loving it. Yes, I'll be really sad when it's all over.
Wow. So before we actually talk about the film that is going to be released or has been released by Northern Rail, is it
Not
about
yet.
to...
I have still to meet with the production company yet, but it's due to come out sometime
coming
before the Easter.
Yeah, right. Well, before we talk about that, tell us a little about, where your kind of writing began. Was it through school?
It was through school, really. I always loved writing, and it was always something that I wanted to do. But growing up in a mining village in the northeast of England in the 1980s, it wasn't really encouraged. It was either science or IT. So that's the way I got steered. I actually came to Preston in 1987 to study computer studies, and writing just got put on the back burner. You get married, you have kids, you get jobs, and it's just something that I never seem to get round to doing. But every time people ask me, well, what is it you want to do with your life? I'd say, well, I want to write a book. So 4 years ago, I thought, well, it's time to put my money where my mouth is, and I signed up for a degree course at UCLan just to get that affirmation that my belief that I could write wasn't just rubbish, that I actually could produce something that people enjoyed reading. So that's what I've been doing. So
the desire never left you, as you say, raising children, the other things that you were doing. At the back of your mind, you always had this desire to write? Absolutely.
I've always been creative. I come from a very creative family. We're always making things and selling things and doing things.
Yeah.
So it's always ticked at the back of my mind. I can write. I want to write.
And what about then when you were at school and when you were at home? Did you write mainly for your own pleasure?
Yeah. As you said, just for my own pleasure. At school and sort of junior infant school, one of my stories was the teacher wanted to put it into a competition, but it never transpired, unfortunately. So yeah, this really now at 45 is my opportunity to do what I've always wanted to do.
And creative writing in particular. I mean, when we talk about creative writing, what exactly, how would you describe creative writing?
I've studied at UCLan. I've done short story writing, flash fiction writing, which is very, very short story writing. I've done poetry, short films, feature films, writing to commissions or articles, biographies. At the moment I'm doing some autobiographical writing as well, which I'm having to dredge the memories to try and come up with something interesting to write about. But it's all good challenges, and it's different ways of writing, and it just triggers off different abilities in your brain to get it down onto paper.
And how easy does it come to you writing? Is it easy, or do you find it difficult?
If I know the story, I write quite quickly, but what I tend to do is write reams and reams and reams, and then edit it and cut it back until you just get the general gist of what I'm trying to say without reams of paper. But I am trying to write a novel as well, so that's kind of the other way. You've got to pad it with a lot of flowery language for a novel. It's quite poetic. So yeah, different things, different challenges.
So how far are you into writing the novel then?
I started it over the summer. I'm probably about 100 pages in, so it's a slow process, but I'm very self-critical, so I keep going back and, no, that's not good enough, and starting again.
And that must be really difficult when, if you are so self-critical that you want to keep going back and... I mean, is it in your thoughts during the day or whenever, and you suddenly think, I'm going to have to change that when I go home?
I write things down all the time. Things pop into my head, and I've got to jot it down on a piece of paper and then try and remember where I've put it. But also with doing multiple projects as well, because at university this semester we're writing a feature film. So I've got that story to weave into my daily life as well. And I've written some short films for various local directors that are hopefully going to be made this term. And I've just taken on editing a feature film for a London-based director as well, who's had his work shown at Cannes, so that's quite exciting.
Wow. So all this has more or less come about also because you're here in UCLan, so the opportunities that arise through
the opportunities are there. With the Northern Rail thing, they've had a partnership with UCLan for about 4 years, I think. We're the only university that they actually have this partnership with. And what they do is give second-year screenwriting students the opportunity to pitch a safety film, a 50-second safety film, to their community safety manager, who's David Wilkinson. So this time last year I pitched my idea for this film, and I won. So I got a lovely trophy with winner on it, which is great because I've never won anything in my life. And I get 12 months free rail travel, and I also get to have the film made by I think it's the Life Channel, a professional production company with a budget, which is fabulous.
And you were up against a few others who were also pitching for this?
Yes, there was most of my screenwriting class had a shot.
So this is for Northern Rail.
That's right.
And it's going to be a 50-second film script for rail safety and appropriate behaviour whilst travelling on trains.
That's right.
So, I mean, what did you have to do then? I mean, what were the ideas that you had that you wanted to see in this film? I
actually did some research, and luckily enough, there was a programme on BBC about Northern Rail and safety issues a few weeks before I pitched, and it was showing CCTV footage of people running across the tracks as the barriers were coming down, and women pushing prams across the tracks, and the train was coming. And I thought, well, people have got to take ownership of their own safety. There's only so much that Northern Rail can do, so my film is basically to point out that it's ridiculous trying to outrun a train. You know, if you look at the height and the weight and the speed of a train compared to a human being, you're never going to win a race, so why are people racing across the tracks in front of trains?
Right, so you had this in your mind, you'd seen it on TV. Did you then visualise how it would be when you were writing it, or did you actually go along to a railway station or to the railway?
No, it was all in my head. I tend to sort of think in pictures, so yeah, I could envisage how I wanted it to look. So when I go into the production company, I get to tell them how I want it to look, and so it's going to be a really good experience.
Right, so it's yet to be filmed.
It is, yeah.
So you will be involved, I take it, with making certain that what they film is what you've actually written and what you would like to see.
Yeah, that's right.
And then how does it go from there? There'll be a general release, there'll be a release. And
it will, yep. It's shown around schools all over the north of England. Well, I think Northern Rail runs from sort of Cumbria all the way down to Birmingham. They do it in schools and colleges, anywhere where there's televisions related to the railways. It'll be shown there, so it's going to potentially have a million people audience, which is fabulous. It's going to have my name on it, which is great.
That's right, and as you say, it's the first thing you've won ever.
It is, ever. So, seriously, I think I won a packet of sweets in the infant school egg and spoon race, but yeah.
So far better you see than winning a trophy, because in this way the trophy would go on top of the television, but in this respect, as you say, millions of people will actually see your work.
Hopefully it might save somebody's life.
Yeah. And you're also a librarian, is that right?
I am, yeah. I'm a school librarian. It's the Tom Finney Community High School, which is the generic secondary special school on Moor Park. Preston people probably remember Sherburn and Moorfield and Elms schools. We amalgamated in 2008, and I'm the librarian there, which is a fabulous job.
Yeah, really enjoy it then?
Really, really enjoy it. The kids are amazing, the staff's amazing. I can't think of a better place to work.
So what about writers yourself? Who do you like to read?
I think being a children's librarian, I do tend to read quite a lot of kids' books. Roald Dahl was probably one of my biggest influences. But as far as adult writers, probably Alan Bennett, Talking Heads, that was probably the trigger that sent me back to university to want to write.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So what about, the biscuit under the settee, etc.?
Yeah.
Any opportunities to write something like a talking head then?
Yeah, I've actually written a monologue for last semester's part of the work, and hopefully it's going to be filmed. I'm in talks with the director in April to get that made.
Well,
So
that would be
that'd
lovely
quite
to see, wouldn't it?
interesting.
And
It
and that
will.
would also be interesting, the monologue point of view, also, from a female point of view, Alan Bennett, as we said, did Miss Fozzard, etc. Some brilliant stuff. It would be lovely to have a look at your work then.
No, it'll be nice, I think.
And what about, I mean, children these days, what about in the school library, apart from research, etc., are books popular?
They are. I mean, a lot of the children at the school that I work with, or the pupils I should say, many of them aren't strong readers, so it's trying to find a high interest, low ability book to interest them. But they like to come to the library, they like to choose the books. It's quite a popular area in school.
Yeah. And the course at UCLan then finishes, is it this summer?
I've got the last of my modules finishes this summer, but with me being part-time, next year I do my dissertation, which is going to be a creative writing dissertation. So I need to really decide what I'm going to write about.
So you've not decided yet?
No, lots of ideas, but I need to put pen to paper really and commit to something. So that'll have to happen fairly soon.
So would you really like to see the future being writing full-time? Would that be an ideal opportunity for you?
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, but I'm realistic. I know that it's one of those niche sort of industries that you've got to get into, and a lot of luck I think is involved in getting your stuff seen. So at the moment I'm just trying to make as much as I can and write as much as I can and get out there and get myself heard, in the hope that somebody somewhere picks it up and pays me for it.
But it does sound as though that's beginning in a way with the film for Northern Rail, and then, as you say, the other opportunities that seem to be coming around at the moment.
Yeah.
And how different is screenwriting to, say, writing a monologue or a biography?
It's very much more visual when you're screenwriting. When you're writing prose, you can describe everything to the reader, whereas with a script you've got a lot of it's dialogue driven, so you've got to really tell the story through the dialogue and the actions of the characters. So it is a different sort of medium to write in, but I really, really enjoy it. It was one of those light bulb moments when I first started doing it, because I'd never written anything like that before. So it really is. It's really good, and it's a really good course. I can't fault it at all. I've had a great time. The tutors are excellent, and the opportunities that they give you are real life opportunities. It's not just all classroom based. You are getting to mingle with professionals in the business and networking, which is important if you want to get out there and do this for real.
So for anybody listening, Sue, who maybe, they're sitting at home and they love writing, but they've never taken it, any farther than that, what would you be saying to them?
Just do it. I mean, I'm 45 and I'm starting a new career. That's how I look at it. But I don't think you're ever too old to reinvent yourself. If it's something that you've wanted to do, don't just sit there and say, I wish I had. Go out and do it. The university is for anybody. It's not just for 18-year-olds these days. There's people of all ages in classes, and everybody just accepts you and you're part of the class. And for me, it's given me the confidence to actually think, well, yes, I can call myself a writer. When you have other people who have writing experience and have been published saying, well, actually, yes, you can write, it's a great confidence boost. I would never have been able to come and done anything like this 4 years ago. So it's definitely boosted my confidence. Wow.
Well, can I thank you for coming in this morning, and, congratulations on the Northern Rail screenwriting. And you think it may be out before Easter?
I think so. Well, I know I'll be seeing the production company before Easter. We are actually down in Birmingham next week at the Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents annual conference, and I'll see the Northern Rail chap there, so I might get a bit more idea then of when it's going to be made. It's
going to be a brilliant feeling when you see that film on screen.
It's going to be fabulous, absolutely fabulous. It's a very strange feeling when you watch words that you've written actually being spoken by somebody else. It's a very strange feeling.
Brilliant. Well, can I thank you for coming in to Press FM this morning?
Thank you very much for having me.
It's been lovely meeting you. Thank you. And I shall be looking for the first book.
Absolutely. I'll send you a copy.
Yes, please do. Signed, of course.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sue.
If you've got news, views or events you'd like to share with us and the Chat City team, why not give us an email? chatcity@preston.fm.